Strawberries are precious, and so are you, baby doll. Today we're going to look at the consensus trade for the whole crypto market, and I'm going to show you something interesting. We're looking at Ethereum today. The consensus trade is very dangerous. So consensus means the position that the majority of people believe. It's actually very hard to determine this, believe it or not, because they always make sense. I've been in the game for many years, inside and out. I can tell you now, by default, you will be the mid-curve consensus position. I have been there so many times. I remember looking back to so many occasions of different markets and scenarios and estimating what I think is going to happen next, and you're wrong. Very frequently. And so we can even bring it here and look at the end of 2022. The end of 2022, everybody believed Ethereum was going to dominate in 2023. I still think Ethereum is going to remain strong. However, this gets to show you what happens when everybody is stacked. So many times, friends, I look back and I remember being in the middle. It's so obvious. The story, the narrative, the evidence, whatever you think is going to happen next, most likely everyone else is thinking that too. That is your gut instinct. Your intuition should be the trap. Because you should think, okay, what do I think is going to happen next? What's the evidence that everybody else can see? And if everyone can see it, you know, okay, there's a trap here. Something's not right. So this is a poll just showing you from the end of 2022, Ethereum absolutely dominating. It says here, which one outperforms in the next year? Bitcoin 17%, Ethereum 60%. Now, you know, it's not heaps of people on Twitter, but I remember this was just a general representation of everyone thinking the same thing because of all the evidence. And you might say, well, what evidence? Well, Bitcoin broke its low at the end of 2022, around there, right? When Bitcoin went to 15K, Ethereum still made a higher low. You see this obvious evidence? You have the burning, you have the merge, you have Ethereum and yield. Ethereum made a higher low in the bear market. You had all these signs telling you Ethereum is going to be strong. Look what happens. Look what happens next. I mean, it doesn't do anything. It does not do anything. We zoom in. Look at this. It's actually down against Bitcoin. You explain that, man. You explain that. How you down 15%? Now, 15% in the grand scheme of things is nothing, but it is very interesting to think about because this will save you and your little fluffy bunny tail so many times, thinking about what everybody else believes. Now, at the end of the day, don't forget, crypto itself is the anti-consensus trade, the anti-consensus investment. We are in it. However, what we're doing here, we're splitting hairs. We're splitting the atom. We want to see which parts of crypto are even more anti-consensus than what everybody in crypto believes. So you're going down the line, you're looking for a competitive edge because we know the game is getting harder. Unfortunately, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're not going to give us our 10x from here. And 10x in crypto, it's kind of the start, really. Very rough. So, of course, we even have Jimmy Cramer. And I really do mean when I say this, friends. Like, everybody thinks I'm joking, but let's go through this together. War doesn't matter. Inflation doesn't matter. Rate hikes don't matter either. Recession fears, Ponzi collapses, regulation, none of them matter. All that matters was Jim Cramer was bearish. The inverse oracle god. So you probably think this is a meme, but this is actually true. You see, Jim Cramer represents the absolute mid-curve retailer. Dead set in the middle. The people who are wrong. Right there in between. Consistently. Jimmy Cramer is a perfect signal. The weak hand. So you can go back to my tweets, my videos at the end of 2022. I was saying so many times, I understand the rate hikes are harsh and inflation is high and there's regulation and quantitative tightening and there's a war and all of these bad doom gloom. I understand it. And it makes logical sense to think that the next move is crashes lower. But Jim Cramer is bearish. You can't give that a 0% weight. When the weak hand is bearish, you have to take note. If the weak hand is bearish and we are not $5,000 Bitcoin or $10,000 Bitcoin yet, then someone out there is collecting. Somebody smart. What we call the smart money. People like me and you who are either holding or adding. We were saying, so with your actions by buying, what you are saying is you understand it looks like the world is ending today. However, maybe there's a chance the world doesn't end in the next 12 months. That's what you're saying with your action. When you actually buy, that's what you're doing. You're betting on the world not ending in the next 12 months. I know most people don't frame it like that, but that's actually what you're doing. You're believing humanity will keep pushing on and that all of these bad doom and glooms are seasons and we'll get through this. Most people try to play smart. They think, well, yes, we will get through this, but we need more death and destruction first. We need more pain. They're very often wrong because they become the consensus too. And they never look around left and right. I don't know how long we'll be able to do these clear signals, but for now they work. Eventually, there will be too much big money, institutions, manipulation, government intervention that will come, put its tentacles into crypto, and we will not get nice, linear crowd readings anymore. It's going to be more distorted. So, look at this. In crypto as well, markets, they're always moving targets. So you can have a consensus trade, but the target is always moving. That's why I say if you take a long-term view, that's why I tell you buy in the depression, sell in the euphoria, because you have like 3, 4, 5 years plus to make it. If you buy in the depression, sell in the euphoria, you simplify your actions. You have down here, you buy and then you sell, right? You have an in and then you have an out. You are just traveling along this line. But everybody in between is trying to like make sense of the chaos. It's a moving target constantly. And there are going to be shocks and surprises. Like I've said to you many times, you ask me for my default opinion on something that I'm not 100% deep in the weeds of, you're always going to be the consensus because you look at interest rates and yields and information out there and the polls. But the shocks always happen. That's actually one constant thing. You just look back in history, there's always something new coming, something that blows things up, down, left, right, surprises to the downside, upside. They always come. But you don't know what form they're going to take and specifically when. And then people confuse that with uncertainty and hence they stay out of the markets and they don't win the game. They lose the game. So when Bitcoin was down at $15,000 at the lows, we all thought there would be euphoria at $30,000. So yes, even though I nailed it 100%, I did better than the smartest of the smart, the most expertised baby doll baby cakes out there. Even though I nailed that low area right, at the end of the day, so see, even though there's all these geniuses out there, you have to be humbled and go, well, you can't get everything 100% right. Because even if you go back and zoom in to that $15,000 low, I'm thinking, okay, we are so depressed right now. If Bitcoin rallied plus 100% from here, which is around 30K, everybody would be yelling and screaming and trap us because it'd just be euphoria. That means the weak hands are finally in. But here we are. It's quiet. There's low volume. Everybody still thinks we're going to crash down. Everybody is drawing resistances at 28,000, 30,000. Nobody believes 40K is coming fast. That doesn't mean it will, but you couldn't imagine this at 15,000 in the low. But look, at the end of the day, I did. I knew at that point anything can happen. The market will find its way to get there. If it needs to lose everybody's interest as it goes up, it will. Which is very interesting because I don't know if you remember in 2021 and 2022, every time there was a green weekly candle, people lost their minds with euphoria. It's true. We can actually see it back here. Okay, people got a lot of hope every time there was a green weekly candle. So people had a lot of faith restored here. I know these candles don't seem like much. They don't. This is 2022. Here, people thought, okay, maybe we're going to go through 20. Everybody was hopeful we'd go back to 25K here, and then the Ponzi collapsed. So those green weekly candles, people were still clinging on to hope. So we would all been trained that. But now you can see these green weekly candles, people aren't yelling. For example, this one I'm looking at now, ain't nobody yelling. No one is yelling. Everybody's still scared. Everyone's like, ugh, we're going to go down. We can't possibly go up. I see it. I see it everywhere and I can feel it. And this is good. This is what we want to see. So where do you even go from here, really? Now that you know this, I mean, I have this for you. Here we are. No one cares. Nobody cares. So here I am just postulating. Right? I think the only way to get people excited enough to be dangerous to themselves would be if we print $40,000 Bitcoin and a $3,000 Ethereum. And what do I mean by being dangerous enough to yourself? What I mean is there are a lot of people who sold the lows, and I mean a lot. A lot of people paper-handed. And if they didn't paper hand on the way down, they've paper handed on the way up. I think if Bitcoin actually shows $40,000, which is up here, people are really going to do something like buy the top again, buy the top of a macro swing, maybe leverage trade more, maybe get themselves involved in other layer 1 chains, layer 2, playing Ponzi coins. They'll just start throwing money around. But it's interesting because this is my mid-curve thinking right now. I'm going to tell you. I can't see anyone being euphoric anytime soon in crypto. We are so damaged. So damaged. What we went through in 2022 with all these altcoins, brutal, horrific. So that's why out of the 2 cycles before us, I kind of think this 2019 Echo one won't happen. This would be a return of Bitcoin to about 48K in a straight line. I feel like we are more going to get this, where we go up, die out, go up, die out, go up, die out. And by the way, this is important, friends. I'm going to show you what this looks like on a linear chart. You see, look, focus on the right-hand side. Every time you went up, you don't know what's coming next. You think, oh man, the bear market's here forever. You go up, oh no, we're dying. Just look at this right-hand side. Focus on the right-hand side slowly. I'm moving the candles slowly for you. You see, you go up like, oh, here we go. By the way, this is the halvening, the Bitcoin halvening 2016. Oh, there's a dump. You don't know it's ever going to go up from here. You have no idea. From $500, it went up 40x from here to 20K. You see? These are weekly candles. Look that. Oh, look, another big rejection. This is China banning up here. China banning. You see? You see how I feel like if I'm in tune with the markets, I feel like everybody's psychology is going to paint this type of picture. That's what I've just deep in my heart, my loins, my pointy elbows. If I was to guess what it would be, and by the way, this is the best scenario because it means we don't have to do anything. So this scenario is like, oh, what are we doing? Okay. And then it'll die off and then we go up again. We die off, go again. something in the realms of this, where we just kind of just float upwards, this would be actually the most maximum pain. Because who wins here? You know who wins? The anti-consensus, which was what I was saying, which was hodling is the way to get wealthy. Buy and hodl and DCA at any price and hold forever. That was not on anyone's, the tip of their tongues. Nobody was talking about this in 2022. They were saying hodling's a scam. Stop listening to this idiot. Put it on leverage. Short. You can make money two ways. They're going back to all the retailer traps. So if the market actually does this pattern, all those people get punished. They had no chance to get back in. None. Because what would be an easier path for them? You know what an easier path for them would be? I'm going to remove this. The easier path would be this. This is what us mid-curvers want, right? We want a euphoric hit like this, some sort of euphoric hit. The Fed cuts rates and then we come back down, scare everyone, and then everybody can continue. So you know all those people who were non-believers in the depression zone, they really want this, and then they want to wait for the next big crash, and then they want to get in. That's what they want. They want that next big hit. But the market doesn't have to give everybody what they want. So now that we've gone through this example of the consensus trade, you're probably wondering the secret. What's the anti-consensus trade right now? What concept? Well, you're going to be surprised. You have to straighten your back for this one. The anti-consensus trade, my friends, is this. 0% BTC, 0% ETH, 100% altcoins. That's the anti-consensus trade. The anti-consensus. We're going to write it here. And we are going to use a fruit. We'll probably use some nice grapes. This is what you're looking at. I've gone through so many Twitter surveys, watching so many videos. I'm not looking for this information. It comes to me. So I've seen it time and time again. I'm like, if I have to sit down and think about it, this is actually the consensus. This is the anti-consensus. This is the complete opposite of what everybody thinks is going to happen. Why? It's because Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only two blue chips of crypto where people believe they have a use case. And because people believe they have a use case, they then incorrectly conclude that they must keep going up, stronger than everything else. This is a trap. I've been saying Bitcoin and Ethereum are big traps. All the stock market boomers, all the traditional commodities people, everybody outside of crypto who doesn't even want to touch it with a 10-foot banana says Bitcoin and Ethereum are legit. Everything else is straight trash. So that means the buying of Bitcoin and Ethereum you've been seeing, there's no more weak hands left. Because all these like mid-curve people are already in. I hope you're following me now. So the consensus, this is what we're looking at. Everybody's already in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Who are the next weak hands to buy? The people who can't wait. The people who just want to hit market and buy. They're not there anymore. They're already in. Altcoins is where the juice is. They are. So altcoins, if you look at the charts, you'll probably come to this conclusion too, because you'll see a lot of altcoin ETH ratios down. And I'll pull up one quickly. You can see Link ETH, for example, Chainlink Ethereum. You can see this. It's very, very, very low. You put on regular chart, very low. So what I'm saying makes sense on the charts. However, big however, you want to think about what has happened in every previous cycle. Every previous cycle is Bitcoin rallies first. Bitcoin rallies first. And then some mid-caps start going up in this sideways. And then Bitcoin goes up again. And then when it does sideways, some of the altcoins start going up with it. That's what everybody expects. If you go back in history, that's exactly what happened. in this little time period, Bitcoin rallied first. This rally was ETH BTC going down. This was Bitcoin smashing everything. XRP BTC went down. All the other BTC ratios went down because this was a Bitcoin-led rally. And then in here, Bitcoin still dominated. And then you had altcoin resurgence here. But it started with Bitcoin recovering big. But now it's consensus, man. Now it makes you wonder, what does nobody expect? And the answer is nobody expects zero use case religious cult Ponzi coins popping out of nowhere like mushrooms. Nobody expects them to take over. No one. Because everybody thinks they have no use case. That's the anti-consensus trade, friends. Don't forget to tell your mum and your dad that you love them.